Hey guys, welcome back to the Drum Mission. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be talking about Ozzy Osbourne. And I know right off the bat you're saying, "Hey Glenn, Ozzy was a singer, he wasn't a drummer."
What's up, Doc? Oh, is that just your thing? I don't want to step on any toes.
We're going to relate it back to the drums. I'll get to that. But first, let's hit the elephant in the room. You may notice I'm wearing sunglasses. And it's not because I'm an asshole. The fact that I am an asshole is merely coincidence. That's a joke I heard another podcaster do, and I really like it. I like that joke. So I thought I'd say it. No, I'm wearing sunglasses because I woke up today and my eyes were all red and puffy, and it's Friday, and I usually put my videos up on Friday. I've already done the playing part of it. That half is done, and I got to do the talking part, and I didn't want to have you look at all puffy eyes. And why are eyes all puffy, Glenn? Well, I suffer from a little dry eye, and on Wednesday and Thursday, I did 2 outdoor festivals with a gentleman named Chris Canis, both days, over 90 degrees. They were early festivals. They weren't in the evening. They were 6 to 8. It was hot. It was hot. Chris Canis is a brilliant blues guitar player. And if there was such a thing as blues fusion, Chris is it. They turned one tune into some kind of crazy fast Latin thing. He turned Kiss into some kind of shuffle. We did a church Pentecostal 2-beat thing, like at probably close to 300 beats a minute for maybe 280. I might be exaggerating, but probably for about 5-6 minutes. Oh man, the Latin thing was up tempo, and that went on for at least 5, 6, 7 minutes. My goodness, and the whole, there was jump, there was fast swing, you name it. You name it. These were worker shows, and I really enjoy playing with Chris. Chris, thank you for the opportunity. And I only get to play with him 5 or 6 times a year. I fill in for his other guy, so I'm just holding on, not to suck too badly. And whenever I leave his shows, I'm reminded, oh man, I got to practice more, and I got to work on how I hear things and stuff, and watch for cues. Anyway, had a great time, but because of that, I got a little dehydrated, woke up, and my dry eyes started acting up. My eyes looked all buggy, so I put the glasses on. Okay, let's get back to Ozzy. Oh, still an asshole, by the way. Okay, back to Ozzy and drumming. Ozzy Osbourne was an iconic singer. Once you hear that voice, you know it. It don't matter whether it's from his solo career, or it's from Sabbath, or what he's doing, you know it's Ozzy. So by any metric that you want to use, whether you use it, the one you would use with Celine Dion, Streisand, Tom Jones, John Lennon, if you use those metrics against Ozzy, it would not stand up. Yet, Ozzy is a great singer. Not because he technically is a great singer, because he brought a uniqueness and a identifiableness. And it wasn't unpleasant. It was pleasant to listen to. I enjoyed listening to Ozzy Osbourne. I was not a big Sabbath fan, but I owned some Sabbath records, and I liked Black Sabbath. I was more Zeppelin, Beatles, that kind of thing, Stones. I didn't really, I don't have all the Sabbath records, but I have all the Beatle records, all that kind of stuff. But Ozzy is Ozzy. And the black magic stuff you hear about, Ozzy admits it was for show, but let's talk about that a little bit. These were 4 guys that met in high school. Terry Butler, who was the one who was really into the occult. He did read up a lot of the occult, and he was kind of following that, at least for a little while. Remember, these were young guys. But I don't believe it was from a place of, I want to worship Satan.
I mean, more and more of this other guy I used to date. Like, a lot. Like, you guys are exactly alike.
I love you.
I believe it was from a place of rebellion, a teenage rebellion kind of thing. Tony Iommi, the guitar player, so Terry Butler was the bass player, Tony Iommi was the guitar player, Bill Ward, the drummer. and Ozzy Osbourne, obviously the singer. And the only one who was into the occult really was Terry Butler. Like Ozzy has said over and over, all that darkness stuff, all the black magic stuff was all show for him. It had nothing to do with who he was. Ozzy was about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Oh, let me mention this first. Tony Iommi is another one who created a style, Black Sabbath. He had got some of his fingertips cut off in a factory when he was late teens. And he had already been playing guitar. And what he had to do was he started tuning the guitar down to D. And he wrote and played his songs that way because it was easier to do while he was missing some fingertips. And created that Sabbath sound. So here's a guy, Tony Iommi, who could have given up the guitar. And yes, because with any technical metric, you could say, well, he couldn't do this because he had a disability. He was missing some fingertips because of the accident, yet he had an iconic sound. And I got to say, I love Tony Iommi's playing. The one thing in Sabbath, even I did a drum cover here at the end of this little video of War Pigs and listening to Tony Iommi play again, I just love his tone and his sound. And yet, it comes from a disability. Okay, back to Ozzy and drumming. Ozzy was a great vocalist, but not a technically great singer. Ringo, not a technically great drummer when you compare him to Steve Gadd or Dave Weckl or Vinnie Colaiuta, but one of the greatest drummers of our time. Stuart Copeland is one of the people I like to mention. And because he created a genre of playing that people try to follow to this day. And you'll be in the studio sometimes, and you'll be on a gig sometimes, and there'll be a guy that turns to you and say, well, I was thinking of a drum beat like The Police or like Stuart Copeland. And you know what they're talking about. Yet, Stewie admits that he had a problem with rushing on stage, and him and Sting used to have fights about it. Stewie, if you ever watch his grip on traditional grip, he doesn't really do it right. It's kind of weird, actually. He has like just one finger over instead of two. Weird. But is he one of the greatest of our time? Yes, he is. Can Ringo and Stewie stand next to Steve Gadd and Weckl and Colaiuta for the contributions they've given? Yes, they can. Has Steve Gadd given a lot of contributions? Yes, he has. Has Ringo given a lot of contributions? Yes, he has. And like I said, Stewie created a sound. Ozzy showed us that, yeah, maybe you can't shatter glass with a high C, but you can say something with your voice. And I enjoy listening to Ozzy's voice. And War Pigs, that song was just as apropos in the 60s or early 70s, I think that's when it came out, as it is today. You know, for a guy who touted that he was the Prince of Darkness, and that was like his little moniker, War Pigs is about ending war and about the death and the tragedy of war and those who make money on it. And we've got a lot of war pigs on the planet now. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go to my drum cover of War Pigs. I know a lot of evangelicals who think the war in Gaza, Israel and Gaza, is going to bring back Jesus, and they don't really care about the children that are starving and dying. That's the truth. And I don't mean know them theoretically on TV. I mean I know them. I know them. That they think that the war in Gaza is going to bring back Jesus and they're all going to be in heaven, even though thousands and thousands and thousands have died already. And that's not the only war on the earth. There are many more. There's the Ukraine and Russia. There's more in the Middle East that don't get the publicity. Yemen. All this stuff. The Houthis, right? There was another one with them. My goodness. We're killing each other all the time. We're killing each other all the time. For what? There's plenty of room on the planet for all of us. There's plenty of room. Let me say this. Ozzy, I think, was more like Jesus than Some of the evangelicals I know, that like that stuff, that war stuff. I'm not talking about the sex and the drugs. I don't believe that Jesus rose again on the third day, but I believe he existed. And he was a rebel because he spoke against the establishment of the time. So did Ozzy. Jesus spoke for peace. So did Ozzy. So the Prince of Darkness, show, a gimmick, but what was going on? Listen to War Pigs. All right, guys. Yes, next week we're going to talk more about being an individual on the drums. That's what I'm bringing you next week. And I'll spend a little more time on the kit with you. Anyway, here we go to my drum cover of War Pigs. Hopefully I didn't suck. I'll see you on the next one, guys.